Can anyone catch them, do you think?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, unbelievable. We didn't expect that.
What are your thoughts on a really disappointing night for Arsenal?
Well, to do an evaluate, if I say what I think, I'm suspended 6 months. So I cannot say. I'm allowed to give my interpretation of what happened in the game, but I don't know how to lie, and I don't like lying, so I prefer not to say what I think.
From the way you say that, I suspect that you're unhappy with some of the decisions that went against you in your opinion. Would that be correct?
I cannot say what I think. I will be suspended.
Okay, then. Are you unhappy with your players?
With my players, no. I'm so proud of my players.
That answers the question for me then.
Hello, everyone. So welcome to another episode of the Gooners podcast. We've got Mitch back with us. Hi, Mitch.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me back.
And AP after like a long time. Hi, AP.
My bad. Thank you for having me on, man. Thank you.
It's good game to discuss. And Arun, hi, Arun.
Hello.
So I didn't want to, really say what we are going to discuss because I didn't want to discuss this game in the first place. I mean, there's a lot to discuss, but the mood is so low after the game that I was just going like, why am I still an Arsenal fan? Kind of, but after a couple of days, I kind of like look at it in a different perspective. I think I was on that day was too sad, too riled up, too angry, too frustrated and everything. But now I look back and I'm going like, wait a minute, it's not that bad. Like, especially if you consider we won against them 3-1 in the start of the season. Yeah. And they have won against us 3-0 with 10 men, which is not a great difference in the results if you compare like one-on-one. Like if you compare it in a season level, we are still ahead of them. 36 games, we are ahead of them with 1 point. And that too, I mean, I got this clarity now, not after the game right away. So Mitch, are you having this kind of situation right now, or are you no? It's still
I think like right after the game, like I was like leaving the bar that I was watching it at, and I was just like really frustrated. Like I left a little bit early because I'm just like I don't like, I'm like, if we get to the 70th minute we haven't gotten at least something back, there's no point in watching the rest. So I ended up just leaving, and on the walk back thinking about it, and like my friends in one of my like group chats were talking about it, and one of my friends who's a United fan thinks he can talk shit, but I don't know where he got that confidence from. And
I guess they were all waiting for this to happen, like just tugging themselves out of their holes and coming out and talking shit about us.
Exactly. Like it was really frustrating. Obviously, you go into this match, it's got huge implications. If we win, we lock in Champions League. If we draw, we're still in a really good spot. If we lose, it gets a little rockier. And then to lose in that kind of fashion is just really frustrating. And I think that like some of my friends were like, oh, I think Spurs are in the driver's seat. Like, I think a lot of people, even Arsenal fans, are forgetting that we're still winning. Like, people are changing their profile pictures on Twitter to like Burnley logos. It's like, we don't need to rely on anyone else. Like this is all in our hands still. There's no easy matches in the Premier League. If we want to look at Spurs, like on paper, they have an easier 2 matches, but there's no guaranteed wins. I've seen crazier things than a very relegated Norwich winning on the last day and just like having a big say in a top 4 race. In the same way that Arsenal can very easily beat a very hot Newcastle team and can beat Everton. Like, these are both winnable games. They're both also very losable for us. And the same goes for Tottenham. Like, nothing is locked in by any means. And I think there's a good reason why, like, if Scott Willis on Twitter, he posts like these like percentage probabilities of like, oh yeah, the probabilities of likelihood for places. I think we were like, prior to the game, we were like in the high 90s for 4th place. After the game, it's now 51%. That's quite a drop. But I think it totally makes sense. We got 2 games to go. We only have 1 point lead. neither team can like afford to drop anything. So it'll be interesting to see the way out. But I'm far from the doom and gloom that I was 2 nights ago, because I mean, rightfully so. It's frustrating to lose 3-0. It's even more frustrating to lose 3-0 to Tottenham. So yeah, hopefully we take care of business in the last 2 matches. I feel like I'm generally optimistic, and I feel like I seem to be more optimistic than most people I've seen on Twitter. So we'll see how it goes.
Talking about Twitter though, AP, right? Like, I think the narrative around this game, when this game kind of like came about, is that everyone thought that Arsenal was the villain, right? Especially because we kind of like, we didn't play that game in January because of all the COVID stuff and all the injuries, and they thought we kind of like got away with it, and this is kind of the justice that we deserve. Is that how this whole narrative of Arsenal losing and justifying, and then people are having this celebration around Arsenal losing coming about to you? Because that's how I feel. Like, I think it has impacted media, it has impacted fans, it has impacted like even the referee to a degree, that game that we didn't play in January, kind of everyone kind of thought like, oh, Arsenal tried to do one sly thing. Is that how you see it? Why this reaction is coming about?
I think it's deeper than that, to be honest, man. It's Arsenal from the times of when Arsene Wenger first came and he started to have so much success as a foreign manager. You know, I think that time was also when he had so many French players and black players in his team. You know, you used to have other managers coming out and complaining and saying, why don't Arsenal have too many English or British nationals in their team? You know, I think there's always been that underlying jealousy about our success, how well we are, the class we have, the tradition we have. And I think that's the root of it, I guess. But obviously, you know, that's stuck with us. That's the narrative that's stuck with us, and people just don't like us, man. Our rivals hate us, and that's fine. Manchester United fans, I don't know where they're getting the confidence to pipe up from, but I think with them, they are embarrassed. They had a transfer window, the greatest of all time transfer window, whatever. They brought in Champions League around. They had my GOAT, Ronaldo, and then they had Sancho as well. And they're still behind us with 2 games to go. So they failed, and they're just taken out on us, I guess. But it's hard to explain, man. It's hard. People also do say that our fans are a bit insufferable. I don't know if that's true or not. Apparently, we're quite a suffocating fan base. You know, obviously we gas up our players and we gas up our teams after a couple of wins, but you know, we just do what fans do, man. We support our teams, we love our players, and it's as simple as that. I don't really get the whole reaction, but it is what it is, man. When it's Arsenal, it's a different ballgame. When it's Arsenal, everyone wants to talk about it, everyone wants to complain, everybody wants to get on our back, but I don't really care, man. I don't really watch all these other teams. I don't care about their fan bases. I just want us to get Champions League, and we can then have the last laugh. Like, they can cry as much as they want, man. Who cares? We'll last laugh. Like, we're gonna have the last laugh, so it's cool.
I hope so. There was this title in, I think, Arsenal Vision podcast where they said like, this is we just lost the battle, but we can still win the war. So I am going on with that mentality into the game. I don't like, especially pulling back to the start of the game, right? I was unusually nervous. I know it's usually that nerves gets into me when it's a North London derby, especially like going to that lot, especially with the injuries that we had. Saka was not sure to start, so there were a lot of things that contributed to the nervousness. But I also claim that I also had like an intuition that something's not right, but it kind of was shared with all the Arsenal fans. I was checking with like my work manager, he's an Arsenal fan too, and he was like, yeah, are you nervous? And we were going like, yeah, I am too. So did you have that nervousness at before the start of the game?
No, not really, because I wasn't really expecting 3 points out of this game. So I wasn't really feeling nervous about it. I knew like, we did beat Chelsea away 4-2, but like Chelsea is a team that's more reliant on system than individual players, and that made it very easy for us. A team like Tottenham is just like a 2-step team, like, get the ball to Son or Kane, let them do the magic, and that's it. So given that, and given the quality that they possessed in those 2 departments over us, and the fact that it was an away game as well, with so much riding on the game, I was I would have been happy with a draw. That was my mentality going into the game. I think I'd even predicted a 2-2 draw before the game. That was my initial prediction. That was on it was contingent also on the fact that there is a possibility of a loss as well. And that's what happened. So if you're talking about nerves in terms of the overall picture and all that, no, because I knew that even a loss would still keep us at just 1 point ahead of them, which the entire world seems to have forgotten. It seems the way in which they're talking makes it seems like we're 20 points behind Tottenham on the table and battling relegation. We're still 1 point above them, and with 2 games in hand, it's all in our hands. So no nervousness, but the feeling of something about to go terribly wrong. Yes, that was there 5 minutes before the game. That was there 5 minutes. I wasn't nervous, but I was like, yeah, nah, this is not going to go right.
So, I mean, I really wanted to talk about the refereeing decisions before going into the whole holding situation, the carding situation and stuff. But even before that, right, hindsight is a different thing. Now people are looking at it and going oh no, we should have played Tomiyasu in the right, or we should have played Nuno in the left, stuck to players in the positions that that they are. Hindsight's a different thing, Mitch, right? Now we could say that, and when I saw the team sheet, I was kind of going, yeah, he's sticking to the same Leeds team, the team that played against Leeds, but we didn't finish the game super confident in that formation either against Leeds. So I was going maybe he should have switched something in there, at least move Tomiyasu to the right, not because of not because I want Tavares to be on the pitch, but I thought move Tomiyasu to the right, move Cedric to the left. I'm still not confident on what Nuno can do, but especially away from the home, right? Away games, Nuno is not great. So did you have that feeling Tomiyasu should have been played at the right?
I was actually thinking that at the Leeds match, because generally my thought process is to play players in their best positions, especially prior to Leeds. I think someone proposed that to me on Twitter of Tomiyasu playing left back, and I'm I don't want to do that. I'd rather him play right back and Tavares play on the left. I think that setup can work because it has. Tomiyasu provides a lot more defensive stability on the right side, and then Tavares is able to get free range to go higher. But then we saw it Leeds stably defensively. Tomiyasu did a fantastic job against Leeds, and I think I've always just known and appreciated how good he is with both feet. But I think we really saw that against Leeds, because it looks like he looks like a natural left back when he's playing there. And I think
he looks natural everywhere. He played center back in this game, and he looked better center back.
He's just a phenomenal player of being able to play anywhere. And so especially after the Leeds match, I was yeah, 100%. If Ben White's not healthy, I think Ben White 100% being healthy, I would have maybe considered playing him at right back. I think that would have been a really solid defensive line, but it would have been two players playing out of positions, so a little far from what I prefer. I think that it was the right choice. I think outcome bias can very easily make people be well, Arteta made a bad tactical choice by doing that. It's I really disagree. I would rather I'd rather have Tomiyasu going on the left side against rather than Tavares, and that seems really unstable to me. Cedric is a way better defender than Tavares is, and I'm not even a big Cedric fan. I have high hopes for what Nuno Tavares can be. He has the tools to be a very special player, but he's just gotta calm it down a little bit, become a little bit more serious in his defending. And he's got that chaos factor. He's got that great chaos factor on the left side. But I think in a game like that, where especially tactically, when Spurs are really good when they're sitting back, you don't really want a player that can get caught out by playing super high like Nuno. So I think that playing Cedric was the right choice. He did not have a good game, but I still think that if Arteta's doing it over again, I think he picks Cedric again and plays him on the right. Because like he proposed maybe playing Cedric on the left and Tomiyasu on the right, but I think that hinders us way more because then you're playing a player completely out of position. Like Tomiyasu's proven or has shown a little bit that he can play a pretty decent left back. Cedric, I'm not as confident as a left back because his left foot is not as strong. It's a huge movement to have to switch onto the right foot. It's the same reason why Gabriel is so like staunchly as our left center back, because even though he isn't as good on the ball as Ben White, having a left-footed center back is just so good on that left side to not have to move it to your right foot, and you're cutting off so many passing angles in that way. So I think it was the right choice despite the outcome. I've seen people criticizing Arteta for it, and to each their own, but I think he made the right choice with that.
Let me ask you guys this question. Like in terms of threat, we just spoke about it in the beginning as well. Like when you think about Tottenham, the biggest two threats that you think about are Kane and Son. Though Kulusevski has been playing really well, that's not someone that comes first to your mind when you think about the threats of Tottenham. Given that, and given we spoke about all of this, but you spoke about the versatility of Tomiyasu and all that. But given the factor that Son is a much bigger threat than Kulusevski can ever be, wouldn't it have been more prudent for us to have gone on with Tomiyasu on the right, completely nullify the threat of Son from that end, especially given there was no Ben White, and we were exposing Holding and Cedric both to their most potent weapon probably.
I don't think that I don't think it makes a lot of sense tactically and defensively to set up your back line to match players up. I get that it's a little bit different in this sense, where we are kind of putting puzzle pieces in where we've got some players missing. But I don't think you see that very often. You don't often see Van Dijk plays on the right, but there are threats coming from the left, so let's switch into the left center back. I don't think you see that matching up as much because I think defending is more of a you concede as a team, you score as an individual, and so there's often times where it's about the consistency across the back line rather than it is 1-versus-1 battles, because when Son's on the ball, he's going with Holding, he's going with Cedric. These are multiple players that he's going up against. It's not just we put Tomiyasu there and then bam, nullified, because you defend as a unit across the back line. So I think whatever can make the unit across the back line the strongest is the most beneficial for the team. And I think given availability for the North London Derby, I think that was the best back line that we could have put out.
AB, on that note though, right? I thought the idea was to have Holding, be the person responsible for Son. At least that's what the initial thing started with. And I mean, we are getting there, right? So there was an incident even before that, even before the first yellow card, that they were wrestling around in the pitch. And that's the clip that's been going around in the Arsenal Twitter space, right? Where Son kind of elbows Holding after he was wrestled to the ground. Son does that a lot. He gets away with that a lot. And the other side of it is we don't make a meal out of these situations. Our players, we know some of them try to win, like Lacazette tries to win, fouls and niggles around the box, or Odegaard trying to win the fouls and niggles around the box. We don't have that a lot. Saka, he gets clipped game in and game out. And we don't milk those situations. We don't roll around the ground trying to milk those situations. Whereas on the other side, Son does that absolutely brilliantly. Although I hate him for that, although I hate Mane for the same reason, it is something that we lack. We kind of we don't know how to do that. Do you feel that contributed to how the Holding versus Son thing kind of went down the whole way?
A little bit, I think, I describe this game as, experienced dark hearts versus that youthful naivety. I think we don't really have that in our DNA at all. You look at our players, you look at our first 11, it's a squad of very likable players. besides maybe Granit Xhaka to the wider public, I think obviously he gets a really bad rap. He has a bad reputation amongst referees and pundits. But besides that, I think you look at our 11, it's just likable players, nice guys, young kids, not a bad bone in their body. And I think we don't have that element to us, which is a bit disappointing. But obviously you want to play the right way, you want to do things in the right manner. But I think you realize now every top team, they have those kind of characters in their 11. They have those kind of people that waste time, do the dark arts. They exaggerate their body movements when they're diving, and I think Son is a master of that. And also Sadio Mane. I think these are two people who have these really nice guy personalities and perceptions. And obviously Mane as well. You see, there's a lot of charity back in his home country of Senegal and stuff. But
they're real assholes on the pitch, yeah.
Yes, bro. Like on the pitch, they get away with so many dirty things. Like Mane's always elbowing people. Son is always diving and exaggerating his body movements. Like I think you saw today. I think obviously Son and Holding, they were having a little bit from the first minute. I think the first challenge, did Holding knee him in the back? I can't remember, but I think they were having a tussle. And obviously Son, he deliberately flung out his elbow. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't like he was trying to get his balance. He literally deliberately tried to elbow Holding, like 100%. But, he gets away with it, even for the pen. Go on, bro.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to go in real quick about this. Like, I liked what Holding was trying to do. Like, he was clearly trying to like rile up Son and like kind of get under his skin and like being a little bit of like shithousery a little bit. But he should have cut that shit out as soon as he got the yellow card. Like, I think it was a really, really interesting choice to try to do that, get that emotional out of Son. And then as soon as he gets that yellow card, step away. Just like keep your distance. Like he should have had the experience and like the veteran, like he's one of our older players. He should have had the experience to be able to do that. And that's what screwed us. Sorry, you can go on.
No, that's right. That's why I was thinking as well. I was wondering, is this an instruction from Arteta for Holding to be touch tight to Son, or was it him getting carried away with his emotions? Was it like just the derby atmosphere and he just, took it upon himself to rattle Son? Because I felt like, because Rob Holding's he's a composed person. He's not someone you see him as a reckless defender or someone who's always getting into fights. Besides the Diego Costa incident, but he's a composed person. He knows when to back out. He knows when to step back in, and I think he kind of lost his head, man. To be honest,
but it kind of worked, AB. Like if you look at it, right? Like when Son got substituted in the second half, he was really pissed off about the whole substitution thing. So I don't think that was because of Holding. I think that was just because I think he tied level with Salah for the Golden Boots. I think he wanted to score more goals against obviously a 10-man Arsenal. I don't really think we rattled him like that. I think we played it to his hands, man. I think Holding got. Listen, I don't think you can have any complaints about the red card. Maybe you can say yes, cool. Son should have been sent off for the elbow, which is understandable. But in terms of the challenges that the referee did see or VR wanted to see, he made about 4 or 5 fouls on Son. Like, what do you expect? What do you expect? You're going to get sent off. And back to Son about being a nice guy and obviously the dark arts. Even for the penalty, like, it's the most minimalistic touch ever from Cedric. But even the way Son flies around in the air, these are the dark arts, man. These are the things we need to learn. Like the way he flies, he exaggerates it. He gives the referee a decision to make. And VAR, because there's contact, it's not going to turn it around. It's not an obvious and clear mistake. So we need to learn these things, man. We need to, obviously it's a younger squad and it will come with time, but hopefully we can learn from these kind of defeats and channel it later. I mean, I accept, Arun, like when AB mentions the red card, right? Yeah, the second yellow, I accept it. Yeah, it's completely true. But the penalty, I don't think that's true. I think what Paul Tierney gives was handball. I don't think he was looking at the contact. I don't think it was I know that we have seen the clips around, Arsenal Twitter space where people were showing exact same thing happening to Liverpool by Spurs, and Paul Tierney in the previous game didn't give it. So this inconsistency is there through the league. I'm not talking about the inconsistency of the refereeing. I'm talking about this instance. I'm not putting in my conspiracy hat yet, but still, this incident, I don't think Tierney saw it completely before he took a decision. The decision was made before he could investigate what the situation was.
It did seem like that, didn't it? Like the amount of time that was spent on awarding the penalty, as well as the lack of time that was spent at VAR, it all makes it seem like it was something that Tierney was not really sure about. And he didn't want to back down on his decision either. It in my eyes, it was a very soft penalty. Out of 10 incidents of this happening, you probably have 3 times it being given a
And
penalty.
two of those times against Arsenal.
No,
definitely.
three of those times against Arsenal, not even 2. It's all 3 would happen only against us. That was my finishing point. It is going to happen against us. It probably would happen only against us, and it's one of those situations. You're right. These are the kind of fouls, or these are the kind of things that go unpunished in other games. They probably would have gotten
And
a goal.
yet you call me crazy conspiracy.
I would take the crazy part out now. Call you the conspiracy theorist. Yeah, because there's a lot of things to validate your claim. But like I said, it was very soft. I didn't think it was a penalty right at the beginning. I thought it was a handball. Oh yeah, that's the reason why a penalty has been given. But then when I saw the replays, I was like, yeah, it is a soft penalty. But it's Cedric went in for the jump. Son made use of the situation. All that he had to do there was jump and twist his body around in a way that he falls, and that's exactly what he did. Soft penalty shouldn't have happened, but yeah, we are Arsenal, and this is what happens against us. That doesn't mean that it's we should be taking it happily, saying, but there should be something happening. Our manager is calling it out. They are trying to get the PGMOL to make better decisions. Think about the things 102 red cards for Arsenal. It's and you compare that against United, and they have 50 or 60 in the league, and it doesn't making me think that guys say Scholes or McTominay are saints. When they're probably probably the dirtiest players. So yeah, these are things that go against us. Like AP said, it's probably they need reasons to put us down, and this is probably one of them. This is the easiest way to get to us. Yeah, that's how I saw it. Soft penalty would happen only against us.
The most interesting thing about the penalty is that prior to that penalty, I think Kane had 1 touch of the ball. I think so. I think he had 1 touch of the ball. That's how quiet we kept him. It was a game that was decided on incidents, and that's why it frustrates me so much about this penalty, right? Because it was not a game that was either of the teams had oh, this player was outstanding or this player was crap. No, we didn't. None of the players stood out really great. So it's just so frustrating when a game like that is decided by the referee.
We matched them man to man till that point. We were there was a definite game plan. We were playing according to the game plan. We were matching them man to man, and with that penalty, it sort of all, I wouldn't say all fell apart, but that was the beginning. That was the beginning of okay, one more stupid incident and we're done, and that's what ruled it.
Interesting. Like I was mentioning, Mitch, right? There's isolated incidents is what kind of made this game. There was not for example, if I compare it to the home game that we played against Spurs, we completely outplayed them. There was no questions of they didn't play. We outplayed them for majority of the game. That didn't happen in this game. We were frustrated, but we had so many chances to one of those balls to I think Martinelli, and then there was a cutback which Odegaard was almost had it. And then there was also another incident when Saka went on a run, which was inch perfect from, I don't know who that is, first player to take the ball out of Saka. If not, it's a shot, it's a goal. So we had those kind of instances, and even Eddie made one of those runs, I guess. But those one or two instances, and referee doing the big part in the game. Even if you consider second goal, I don't think the second goal for Spurs is a genuine. It comes from a genuine play, right? Because that foul that started it, the free kick
was a foul on Saka. But he was the one that was stepped on.
Yeah. And we have raised this complaint a lot of time that Saka is getting battered on that pitch so much, yet whenever it happens, the referee doesn't look at it. He just goes like, oh no, it's their thing. So all this kind of like makes it seem like this was intended to be against Arsenal.
I refuse to play into like conspiracy theories that are, like we're being like played against. Like, I think just like Premier League refereeing is just bad. Everyone gets bad referees. Everyone gets bad calls. Like we got some good calls for us in our run of 3 matches against really good teams. Like we are not like above like getting good calls. Like it hurts when it goes against us, and it like feels like kind of compounding in like a really big game where it's like, oh, the media wanted us to lose. Like, so did the Premier League needs to make the prop 4 race interesting. And it's like, yeah, I mean, like what evidence? Like I don't know if there's like anything concrete that we can really say that's like, yes, this is like, oh, that foul, like these are bad calls that have like affected Arsenal. But I don't know if it's like a on purpose like attempt. Like I saw someone's like, oh, Paul Tierney's from Manchester, that's why. And it's like, okay, really? Like that's a weak link argument that we're trying to make. Like, yeah, these calls hurt us. These misses hurt us. Like football is a game where it's, you know, game of inches where you miss a little bit and then right down the end of the pitch, you like against Man City, like in January, I think we had an opportunity at one end and then it was taken out and then Gabriel got a second yellow and that's why we lost the game. Like everything can move so quickly where you miss one opportunity and it completely costs you on the other end. So I think we can there's definitely blame in why we lost this game that we can put on the refs. Like there was bad decisions made, there was questionable decisions made, but at the end of the day, we didn't do the job. We didn't finish the job. Holding should have stepped off, shouldn't have kept playing Son close after getting his yellow card. Like we should have been more clinical on the other end. There's things that we can do better. We can focus more on ourselves of like, we can win this game. Like we were good enough to win this game. We saw the first 20 minutes. We were good enough. If we'd executed in that first 20 minutes, it could have been a completely different game. So I think it's hard to like, I think I tweeted this the other day and I've been saying this, like, I think the biggest thing that like, not only like refs in England can just improve flat out. Like that is just a thing, like the quality of refereeing needs to improve. But I think perception of refereeing could be massively improved if they were just more transparent about it. If they were able to, like if fans, players, coaches got more access into VAR decision making, of like we're hearing what they're talking about. A ref makes a call like the penalty and is like, I saw a handball there, and then they check it and it's like, wait, there's no handball. But they get, there was a little push and like you change the call. Like transparency can go a long way, even if it's a call that like we don't agree with. If the ref is on the broadcast or over a mic in the stadium and being like, this is the call, this is what I saw, fans are going to be way more receptive, and coaches and players are going to be way more receptive over to what's going on. If you peel back the veil a little bit, you don't have the secrecy, because it's hard to have conspiracy theories when everything's out in the open.
Then I wouldn't have a job. So
you can't be like, the league's against us, if you're hearing everything that's like going on in the thought process of like, this is why VAR is not going to overturn this call. And I think that something that can go a long way, and not just football, in every single sport, because every single sport has people complaining about referees and complaining about calls and stuff, and having transparency into hearing the thought process behind replays and behind controversial or potentially controversial decisions can go a long way into building a trust of referees and governing bodies of referees. Unfortunately, the Premier League will never do that. I think it would be a great way to create this and to make officials have to improve rather than just like make a decision and not necessarily have to explain themselves. I think it would be really, really beneficial for the sport. I don't see it happening anytime soon, but I do think it would be a really good solution.
AP, I want you to support my my theory that the Premier League is against against Arsenal, because these two, Arun and Mitch, has completely debunked it. So tell me more about the refereeing decisions, right? Like, I mean, not just the refereeing decisions, during the every game, every North London derby or every game against top four, the media, the commentators, everyone kind of puts Arsenal in the
Everyone
negative
wants us to
space.
lose. Everyone wants us to lose.
Yeah, you can literally hear the commentators celebrating when the opponent team kind of scores, and that happens a lot more in Spurs games. And even players who are supposed to be, or ex-players who are supposed to be neutral, like Gary Neville or Keane or whoever it is, like these are Manchester United players. They shouldn't be, they shouldn't have a say, or they shouldn't be picking up either side when an Arsenal plays Spurs, but they always picks up Spurs. And that is the way I feel about refereeing too, that it's always, when these crunch games comes along, the referees always favor the other team. Even though we are considered the babies, we are considered the soft ones, we get most carded. We like, even in this game, I think like there was a yellow for Odegaard, was it, for his first foul? I was like, that is his first foul in the game. You're giving an yellow for a first foul in the game. How is that even fair? And on the other side, Saka was brought down very, very clumsily by what's that guy's name?
Ben Davies.
Ben Davies, and he gets away.
He got a yellow for it.
Not for the first time. He got, like, remember the first time when Saka made a run and he was brought down, he didn't get it. So I was going,
I
like,
don't remember that.
Yeah. So
I think he got a yellow for that. Ben Davies, like when he pulled Saka down the first time near the
like when he was down
line
on the ground and then
Yeah.
tripped Saka, he got a yellow.
I
I
think
don't
so.
remember
I
any
think
time
so.
before that.
maybe I
Yeah.
don't remember it then. But AB, sorry.
No, man, I feel your pain. Obviously, listen, we're Arsenal fans. We're emotionally attached to our team. But listen, man, every team has these bad calls. I think, like Mitch explained perfectly, the standard of officiating in the Premier League is bottom tier, man. I mean, Arsene Wenger's always said it, like, oh, well, I don't know what year it was, maybe the 2010, but he said no English referee will go to the World Cup, and they didn't, because their standard of officiating is awful, man. They miss things in real time. They make decisions maybe sometimes based off passion or based off like the crowd or whatever. I don't know what they see sometimes, but it's shocking. And I'm happy that John Moss and Martin Atkinson and Mike Dean are all retiring at the end of this season, which is unbelievable, because the evil they've done in this league is too much, man. It's too much. But no, like Mitch said, there are things that go our way. If you cast your mind back to the North London derby at the Emirates, that second goal that Aubameyang scored, I think at the start of it, Ramsdale passes to Xhaka, but you could easily interpret that Xhaka, I think it was Højbjerg who was on him. Like, he kicked Højbjerg's leg. I don't know if Højbjerg got to the ball first or something, but he kind of like fouled him, more like the studs was on his foot. So in essence, that could have gone against us. That could easily been a foul as well. So we get some calls, but listen, I understand the narrative. People don't like us. People hate us. I mentioned before about Arsene Wenger and the hate you used to get, but even before him, I think George Graham used to get hate as well. He said it as well, like, no one likes us. We don't care. We just do our thing. So, but pertaining to Gary Neville, though, Gary Neville is an interesting case, because obviously he's a very bitter man. Like, he's just a very, very bitter pundit, man. Like, honestly, he was doing my head in the other day when I was watching it. Like, he's pathetic, man. Honestly, not to get personal, but he's pathetic. But I think maybe to him, there's a couple of factors with him. I think obviously he used to get bullied by Arsenal, when you had Ashley Cole and Robert Pires running down your flank for like a couple of years and spinning you every single game, Old Trafford or Highbury. I think obviously that's a bit of resentment. They hated Arsenal as well, that massive rivalry, but especially for him, he used to get spun, and even Thierry Henry used to always sort of drift out to the left as well. So he was getting like tag teams 3-on-1. He was leaving the Highbury like in tears and stuff. So obviously I don't blame him for hating us for that. But even in terms of his manager experience as well, he had one stint at Valencia, failed woefully, came back, and now he's seen a rookie in Arteta who's doing what he could only dream of. He's getting the time.
That's the other thing that I'm actually like, I want both you and Mitch to talk about is, Arteta he's a rookie manager, yes, but media, the other coaches, like Conte came out after the game, said like he needs to stop complaining. I mean, who are you? You have been complaining all the time. You have been in Spurs. You didn't want to be in Spurs in the first place. You have been saying that from get-go. And you are complaining, you're saying he complains a lot. He has to learn this, he has to learn that. And like, not just Conte, right? Like you can see that Klopp complains every game, like from the wind blowing in a different direction. Pep Guardiola complains every game. Every
Thomas
manager
Tuchel complained about the length of grass in their own stadium.
Ralph Ragnick complains about his own players every game. And we know Jose
And
Mourinho
Klopp,
used to,
Klopp.
Klopp does
the
that.
ball.
And Jose Mourinho is a master of this. Like he comes out and he complains all the time, even when he was new to the club. So I don't understand why Arteta is being singled out in this way. I mean, he has not done anything for you to have a grudge against him. Like, yeah, you could have grudge against Arsenal. Yes, I could totally see that, but I don't see how like Arteta is being on the receiving end of all this blame. And the other side of it is like our Arsenal legends, apart from Ian Wright, no one else is kind of supporting the same way how Rio Ferdinand and Gary Neville and like Carragher and all those people are supporting their own clubs.
I think there's a couple, man. I think Lauren, our former right back, Lauren, I think he comes out to support Arsenal a bit. And I think obviously it didn't end too well for Freddie Ljungberg at Arsenal. I think obviously he wanted maybe a bit of a more senior role at the club in terms of being the actual manager. And he obviously wanted some roles in Sweden as well. But I think he also, I haven't seen him say anything negative about Arsenal when he's on punditry, but I know what you mean. There's not like that galvanizing support behind him. Like everyone loves Arteta. Of course, there's more, maybe a few more negative things from our legends than positive towards him. But I think in terms of other managers though, I think maybe I'm just trying to think of conspiracy theories because honestly, I just feel maybe they just feel he's a rookie manager. He's got some kind of privilege, because he worked under Pep Guardiola, he's been able to walk into the Arsenal job, which is obviously one of the most sought after, one of the biggest jobs in the world, with no real experience before that. So that's the only reason I can think of. Because honestly, I don't think he says anything different compared to other managers. When he complains, he's whining, he's complaining. But when it's Klopp, it's passion. Oh, look how much he loves the game. Look how much he loves his players. He loves his team. But
because Saint Klopp, right? For the media, it's always Saint Klopp.
Yeah, exactly. We maybe just after a couple more years of success with Arteta, maybe a couple of trophies, maybe their respect will follow. Obviously, these guys, Pep Guardiola, Mourinho, Klopp, they have that credit in the bank. They've done it. They've been there. They've done it. They've won things. They've earned the respect of everyone. So maybe once Arteta earns his stripes and respect in the eyes of the media, maybe we'll start to see a more positive turn towards him. But until then, we just got to take it and just prove them wrong.
I'm going to be honest. I'd rather, like, in terms of like bias with pundits and stuff, like I think it's dumb for Man United, like former Man United pundits to be like criticizing Arteta, even though like that's what they want out of the United right now. They're like criticizing Arteta, but then at the same time being like, oh, we got to do like a full rebuild, like play through youth. It's like that's exactly what Arsenal does.
The six-step process that Ferdinand put out a few days ago, it was just everything that we've been doing now.
But at the same time, like in terms of like former Arsenal players, like having things to say and not always being positive, I think that's good. Like, I don't think that, like, I think Thierry Henry's been like unfairly negative, like, and I think there's just a middle ground where, like, I think there's a reason that Jamie Carragher is like a really respected pundit, because he's not like super biased towards Liverpool. Like he clearly at his heart is like a Liverpool player, but like he's critical and of not only just Liverpool but everyone, and praises everyone, and like when they deserve it. And I think that if you're a pundit, if you're paid to give your opinions on things, you shouldn't our fans shouldn't expect someone that just because they played for the club to have to praise the club and everything they do, because then you get people like Gary Neville where there's just a stupid amount of bias in what they're saying, where they're just like waiting to go after teams that they didn't like while they were playing. And if they have that amount of bias, it's totally fair that they would go after Arsenal, and they would be kind of gleeful while doing match commentary where we're losing. Punditry is just hard, especially when you have former players, because they have like all of this bias and don't necessarily have the greatest wealth of knowledge just because they played the game. I think there's countless examples of people that never played that are better examples of people talking about the sport than some legends of the game. And in the same way with how managers are, where like not every manager was the greatest player that ever played. So I don't know. I think punditry is just inherently flawed, and like people that don't like Arsenal are just not going to like Arsenal. But I think that's something that the team can use as motivation of like, oh, we're not the favorites by the media. Let's prove them wrong. Oh, if like we lose, they're gonna come out about us complaining all the time. All right, well, let's prove them wrong. Let's win these last two. Let's get top four. So yeah, I mean, there's not much we can do, but
exactly where I wanted to take the next step is like what we have to do for the next two games. I know we have to win, but we do have the problem of like band-aiding the game. Like we are duct taping the team together at this point. We have been doing that for quite some time with our squad players, but at this point with Gabriel out with hamstring, I don't know how bad it is, but at this point we are literally going to duct tape a back four. So how do we go about to do this?
For me, if Gabriel's out, we go Tavares left back, Tomiyasu left center back, Ben White, and then Cedric. I think that's the best back four we put. The only other player that I could think about playing in that back line is Xhaka, but I do not want to take him out of midfield because he's too valuable there. I don't think he's an awful left back, but I think he's way more valuable to us in central midfield. I'd much rather have that back line. I feel like it can do a job. So, I mean, hopefully Gabriel's all right, and we can put together more of a secure back line. But worst case scenario, that's the back line I'd put out.
Epi, in that scenario, it's also like Mitch kind of brought in that Ben White might be fit. He was not brought on in the game at all. Like in this first game, I could see why it is in one point, which is like, okay, let's not risk it. This game is gone, so let's not risk Ben White into the game. That I could see it. But the other side of it is like we didn't make any defensive change in the first half, even after Holding was taken out. Xhaka was played at the left back or center back kind of role, and that's how we played. So I'm still worried if Ben White is completely ready. If he is not ready, in that case, there is no other choice but to play Xhaka at the back.
Yeah, no, I think Ben White. Obviously, you don't want to risk him, man. I think the game was mostly gone. Obviously, her holding red card is not the best thing, but Arteta didn't want to risk him at all, especially in that environment, that kind of highly charged environment. Like the emotions were high in the air. Maybe you get Ben White going that extra mile when he's not actually fully fit, and then he makes the situation worse. And then where we've got two massive games left and no Ben White, so I think they made a right decision. Listen, if he's not fit, he's not fit. I think maybe just to put him in a squad, maybe just to scare Spurs. I don't know if there was mind games involved there or just, I don't know. But hopefully he is fit for Monday because we need him. Monday night under the bright lights, the whole world watching. I think it's the only game obviously on Monday. Everyone's gonna be waiting for our downfall. Everyone's gonna be watching us. And it's Newcastle's last home game of the season as well, so they're gonna want to go out on a bright note. Yeah, so we'll be fine. But hopefully it is well, I'm now thinking of the lineup myself, but maybe Tomiyasu, Ben White, hopefully Gabriel's fit, and then play Tavares on the left, man. Best case scenario, but worst case scenario, I don't really want to think about it. I know Mitch has put out a lineup there, but I don't really want to think about it, especially when you have, I don't know. I think Saint-Maximin is injured, no, or is he fit?
I think he was fit. I think he played like last 5 minutes or something in the last game. I might be wrong, but okay. I think he was fit.
Okay, but yeah, but regardless, anyway, Newcastle's attack is nothing that's going to keep me up at night. It's nothing I'm scared of. Of course, Maximan is an unbelievable 1v1 specialist, but 50% of the time he messes it up. He makes the wrong decision anyway. So we should be fine regardless, man. I'm still very confident for Monday night. We'll be fine.
So Arun, like the only other player that I have, I am a little bit concerned is Saka, because I don't feel in the last couple of games he's been 100% physically. Like he's still carrying something, and I hope like this summer he gets his rest, because that boy has been playing like non-stop all the time. And I'm also like not ready to take him out of the starting 11 because he's one of our bright spots.
No, more than
attack-wise.
that, taking him out of the starting 11 would mean that Pepe would start, and that's like
you
a
are
bigger.
saying you are saying bad things about Pepe now.
Not
So,
bad things. I mean, like I have to accept it. Like Saka is at his age a better player than Pepe,
yeah,
and he's making the difference better than Pepe that ever did. So
but against Newcastle, we need to score goals. I mean, that's where the thing is. Like it's not just about shutting it down. Even if we don't shut it down, we need to score goals. We need to do a 4-2 of what we did before, even if it comes to that. So where do you see the goals coming from against Newcastle?
Well, it's not going to be like a high-scoring game anyway. We're not going to be scoring 3 goals or 4 goals or whatever it is. If anything, like given the pattern of the chances that we are creating and the finishing that we've been having, we've not been like scoring these goals that go through like 25 passes or like it's like the Leeds game. It was like pressing from Eddie and then like one moment of magic from Martinelli. Though we missed a lot of chances, so. I understand what you mean in terms of Saka being in the red zone. He's been in the red zone for a while. It does reflect in his performances. He is not as sprightly as he used to be, but still is putting up like 6 to 7 on 10 performances every week, So if at all, like the goals probably would be coming from I can see only Eddie and Martinelli being more capable of scoring those goals over Saka, just because of the fact that Saka is more in the red zone. And he's not going for it as much as he used to before, earlier in the season as well. He would go for the balls more, but now though he uses his strengths to win those balls, it's not the same confidence or the same physical ability with which he's doing it. He's pushing players off the ball, but it was more imperious, if I could use that word, back then, when he would take an entire side out. He's not been able to do that due to the physical factor. So for me, the goals would, I don't see why we would lose this game. I know Newcastle are on a good run. It's a wave for us, but still, the things that are riding on this game make it a very hugely important game. If this doesn't inspire the players, I don't know what will. So for me, the goals, I believe, should be coming from Eddie Martinelli. Okay. That's where I see the goals coming from. Yeah.
One last
thing, a corner. Right?
One last thing, AP. I also saw that there was, I don't know how true that is, that Emerson Royal had a Instagram post or something calling out Saka that you have let down your country or something like that. I don't know if it's legit. Did you
Emerson Royal, did you say?
Yeah.
Emerson Royal. I doubt it. I really doubt it. It's probably like a Photoshop mock-up or something. I don't think Emerson Royal even understands the whole situation that happened with Saka. Obviously, he knows he missed a penalty and stuff, and maybe the racial abuse, but the let your country down thing, I think that's quite a niche thing inside England and Britain. I don't think he would have any understanding of that, really.
Okay. I think that might be true. But sticking to you, how confident are you about the next game?
I'm confident, man. I think we'll bounce back. We understand what's ahead of us. We know what we can achieve with the next 2 games. We can, hopefully the players feel all that energy, all the negativity around us, all the people wanting us to lose, all the biased punditry, all the awful sensationalistic articles that have been written about Arteta now as well. Hopefully we can just channel all that. Come out. I don't really care if we play too well. I don't honestly grind out a win. I honestly don't mind. I'll take a 1-0 win, scrappy corner, set piece goal. I honestly do not care. Deflected goal, whatever. Just get the win, get the 3 points, and then beat Everton comfortably at home. Hopefully Everton have already been kept up by then. Hopefully they're safe by then, and we can just have a nice, relaxing 2-0 win at home. I think they'll do it, man. I'm confident. Obviously, when you look up at a lineup and you see Cedric and Elneny and Holding and Nketiah in the team, obviously this is not a team that should be competing for top 4. but we're here now. They've done amazing. Arteta's done an amazing job to get us in this position. You know, Man United have failed woefully. Spurs have been inconsistent, and now we're here. It's not a fluke. It's 36 games in. Like, you can't fluke 36 games. Like, we're here. We deserve to be here. So let's just finish it off in the right manner and just prove everyone wrong once again.
Awesome. Mitch, your thoughts on the upcoming game, and let's wrap that up after that, I guess.
I'm always confident. I'm always an optimist. So I think both of our games are winnable. I think we just gotta do the job. Win these last two, we get top four. Don't even think about Spurs. We don't have to think about Spurs. We can just keep it going. So just gotta beat Newcastle. I don't care how we do it. It could be the ugliest performances of the season as long as we win. I don't care if it like is an own goal off one of their asses. I don't care. I just want to win. So just got to win these last two, take care of business. Let's get top four.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you for joining in. You know, you have made me a lot more positive than I was before this talk. I was going like, well, it's okay to not have top four. Now I'm like, yeah, we could get top four. So thank you, guys. Thank you for putting that positivity in me. So yeah, and hopefully we'll meet after the win against Newcastle and on our way for top four. Thanks, guys. Peace.
Thanks for having us.
Take care, man.